Shalom and welcome to another Torah class, Torah Shir, on the weekly Torah portion that we read in Jewish homes and synagogues around the world. Just a small disclaimer, as always, my name is Zohar. I am a Jewish person of Orthodox observance, and I'm not a rabbi. Should one need a rabbi for guidance, we'd be happy to guide him or her to a rabbi that speaks Hebrew or English. And also can be found in the description below later on after we upload online. And as well as important information about Judaism for Jews and non-Jews that explain the Orthodox outlook on HaShem, God, our creator and sustainer, and this Torah that he gave to us on Mount Sinai, and the creation. We make an effort to share words of Torah and wisdom of our sages throughout the generations with our friends and families, community, Jewish people around the world, as well as anyone from the Gentile nations that wish to get closer to our Creator and Sustainer, according to the truth of His Torah that He gave to the Israelites on Mount Sinai approximately 3,500 years ago. And Be'ezrat Hashem, B'Shem Hashem, Na'aseh v'Natzliach. With the help of Hashem and in the name of Hashem, our Creator and Sustainer, may we do and we may succeed. Okay. So we just concluded our high holidays. Simchat Torah, rejoicing with the Torah, was the last holiday, where we conclude the 5 books of Moses, Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses our teacher, and with the parasha of Vezot Haberacha. And then we started to begin BeReshit, which is Genesis, a little bit of the portion. And this Shabbat, we will read the complete Torah portion of BeReshit, Genesis. So since there was a lot going on during the holidays, and we didn't get a chance to cover Vezot Haberacha, the last Torah portion of the 5 books, then we'll just go over a small point from the book of Nofet Tzufim. Yeah, sorry, that's the wrong one. Here we go. Yeah, from my rabbi, one of my rabbis in Israel, Rabbi Mishulam Cohen Shlita, that lives in Yerushalayim. And we'll attach later on for Vezot Haberacha and also BeReshit the links from last year that have the complete or most of the Torah portion with explanation, translation, and commentary. Okay. So as usual, just a small overview on the parasha of Vezot Haberacha, what we're going to cover now, and then we'll move on to BeReshit, Genesis. Okay. So Vezot Haberacha is, as we mentioned, read on the last day of the high holidays. Simchat Torah is in Devarim, Perek Chav Gimel, Pasuk Aleph until Perek Lamed Gimel, Pasuk Aleph until Perek Lamed Daled, Pasuk Yud Bet, which is Deuteronomy, chapter 33, verse 1, until chapter 34, verse 12. The name of the parasha, Vezot Haberacha, means, and this is the blessing. the Sukkot and Shmini Atzeret and Simchat Torah Torah readings are from Vayikra, which is Leviticus, chapter Chafpet, Chaf Gimel, chapter 22 and 23, and then also Bamidbar, chapter Chaftet, is Numbers 29, and Deuteronomy, Devarim, chapter Tet, Yudalid until Tet Zayin, which is 14 and 16, Deuteronomy 14 and 16. These readings detail the laws of the Moadim, the appointed times on the Jewish calendar for festive celebration of our bond with God, including the mitzvot of dwelling in the sukkah, the branch-covered hut, temporary dwelling, and taking the four species of plants that we shake during the prayers on the festival of Sukkot, the offerings brought in the Holy Temple in Jerusalem on Sukkot, and the obligation to journey to the Holy Temple to see and be seen before the face of HaShem, our Creator and Sustainer, on the 3 annual pilgrimage festivals: Pesach, which is Passover; Shavuot, which is the holiday, and the literal translation is weeks, but it's the holiday of receiving the Torah; and Sukkot, which is tabernacles in English. On Simchat Torah, the last day of the holiday, it means rejoicing with the Torah. That's what the name of the holiday means. We conclude and begin anew the annual Torah reading cycle. First, we read the Torah section of Vezot Haberacha, which recounts the blessings that Moses gave to each of the 12 tribes of Israel before his death. Echoing Jacob's blessings to his 12 sons 5 generations earlier, Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses our teacher, assigns and empowers each tribe with its individual role within the community of Israel. Vezot Haberacha then relates how Moses ascended Mount Nebo, from whose summit he saw the promised land. As it says, and Moses, the servant of God, died there in the land of Moab by the mouth of God, and no man knows his burial place to this day. The Torah concludes by attesting that never arose a prophet since Moshe Rabbeinu in Israel, whom God knew face to face, and in all the mighty hand and the great awesome things which Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses our teacher, did before the eyes of all of Israel. Immediately after concluding the Torah, we begin anew by reading the first chapter of Genesis, the beginning of next Shabbat, this coming Shabbat's Torah reading, describing God's creation of the world in 6 days and his ceasing work on the 7th, which he sanctified and blessed as the day of rest, which is Saturday. Shabbat. Okay, that was the Vezot Haberacha and beginning of Genesis in a nutshell. Okay, let's move on to a little bit from the book of Nofet Tzufim for Vezot Haberacha. Okay, so as we know, it's in Hebrew, so I'll be translating it line by line. It's quite long, actually, this bit, so I'll read the majority of it, or the main parts, or the main points, to get the point across. It's talking about this Torah bit is Ma'amar Kavchet, which is portion 28 of this book. It's talking about the verse in Devarim, Perek Lamed Gimel Pasuk Yudchet, which is Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 18, which says, "V'lizvulun amar semach zevulun b'tzetecha ve'yisaschar be'ohalecha." Translation is, and to Zevulun, he said, Zvulun, may you rejoice when you go out, and Yisaschar, name of another tribe, be'ohalecha, in your tents. Ma'alat ha'machzik biyad lomdei Torah, the virtue of one who sustains those who study the Torah. That's the title of this of these Dvar Torah, words of Torah from our rabbi. Zevulun ve'Yisaschar asu shutafut. The two tribes, had a partnership. Zevulun lechof yamim yishkon, as it says in the Torah. Zevulun lechof yamim yishkon, that Zevulun will reside to the beaches of the seas. And he goes to do his dealings with ships and makes a living in that way. And he provides for the mouth and the livelihood of Yisaschar, his brother, which then they sit and learn and deal in Torah study. לפיכך הקדים זבולון ליששכר, שתורתו של יששכר על ידי זבולון הייתה. That's why Moshe Rabbeinu first mentioned Zevulun, which was the younger brother, to Yisachar, which was the older brother. Usually, it goes in the order of birth for respect. But here, he switched them around. We found out also when Jacob blessed Ephraim and Menashe, that Ephraim was the younger brother, and Menashe was the older brother. But when he blessed them, he blessed Ephraim first, because he saw in his future greatness. So why did Moshe Rabbeinu proceed and bless Zevulun first? Because שתורתו של יששכר על ידי זבולון הייתה. Because the whole ability of Yisachar to sit and learn Torah was by the merit and the provision of livelihood by Zevulun. ועל זה ברך משה, שמח זבולון בצאתך. And that's the reason that Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, our teacher of blessed memory, blessed Zevulun. Rejoice, Zevulun, when you go out. Meaning, Hatzlach b'tzatecha l'schora. May you be successful when you go out to do business in the world. Ve'yisaschar be'olecha. And Yisaschar in your tents. Meaning, Hatzlachi b'yeshivat o'alecha leTorah leshev ולעבר שנים ולקבוע חודשים. May you be successful, Yisachar, when you dwell in their tents and learn Torah, and also to conclude how to calculate the leap years and months, and to set up months of the Jewish nation, which actually determine the holidays and when we need to bring sacrifices, when we need to fast, and so on. כמו שנאמר, as it says, דברי הימים א', פרק י"ב, פסוק ל"ג. ומבני יששכר יודעי בינה לעיתים. And as it says in דברי הימים 1, chapter 12, verse 33, and from the children of Yisachar, they know how to calculate the times. ראשיהם 200 ראשי סנהדריות היו עוסקים בכך. And their leaders were 200 heads of our Sanhedriot, our courts. And that's what היו עוסקים בכך, that's what they were doing. ועל פי קביעת איתם ועיבוריהם. And Rashi explains and clarifies there, according to how they set, what they meant there is how they set the times of the holidays and the leap years, which is very important. Why is it important? Because it says in the Torah that we must always celebrate the holiday of Pesach, Passover, in the springtime in Israel, meaning. So, in order to do so, every few years, we need to add actually a whole month. So that's they had the wisdom, they were given the wisdom, divine wisdom, you should say, how to set it up in a way where Passover will always be in the spring. And it's a very big deal because, for example, we just finished the high holidays. When would be Rosh Hashanah, the new year? When would be Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, which is a fast day? And it's so important that if one is eating on the fast day, according to the Torah, he's liable for the death penalty. So we need to know exactly when that time is. It cannot be one day off. That's why it was so important. And on Pesach, on Passover, we're not allowed to eat leavened bread, regular bread or cake and so on, from wheat and 5 grains that the Holy Land is blessed with. So, and we eat matzah. We have to know when that time is. It's very, very crucial to the Jewish nation. That's one of the things that the Greeks wanted to uproot from the Jewish nation when they were starting to take over the land, to have the people not keep one of the things that the 3 things that they didn't want them to keep was not to learn Torah, not to do circumcision, and not to keep the renewal of the moon, the ritual of blessing the new month. Because when you know the new month, when it begins, you can calculate what will be in that month, and so on, the holidays, fast days, as we mentioned. That's why it's very, very important. עוד אמרו חכמינו זכרם לברכה בבראשית רבה פרשת עין בית עוד ה'. And furthermore, our sages of blessed memory have said in the Midrash of BeReshit, Genesis, part 72, letter 5, Ot Hey. Al pasuk, about the pasuk over there, on Divrei Yamim Aleph, Perek Yud-Bet, pasuk Lamed Gimel, on what we just mentioned in the book of Divrei Hayamim, chapter 1, book 1, it's 2 volumes, chapter 12, verse 33. ובני יששכר יודעי בינה לעתים לדעת מה יעשה לישראל ראשיהם, מתי וכל אחיהם על פיהם. And as we mentioned about that verse, when that the descendants of Issachar know and have given the wisdom to calculate the times of the holidays and and their leap years, and what will be for the nation of Israel as far as the holidays are concerned. 200 are their leaders of those courts, and all of their brothers, meaning all of the nation of Israel, followed their decision. מתי משה סמדרות היה יששכר מעמיד? The tribe of Issachar has established 200 heads of Sanhedrot. These are hundreds of years. וכל אחיהם מסכימים הלכה על פיהם, and all of their brothers, all of the tribes, agreed to the law that came from them. והוא משיב להם הלכה כהלכה למשה מסיני. When they gave them their decision, it came out exactly as it was received to Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses our teacher, from Mount Sinai. וכל השבח הזה מניין היה לו ליששכר. And all of this praise, where did Yisachar receive it from? משל זבולון שהיה עוסק בפרקמטיה שלו ומאכיל את יששכר שהיה בן תורה. From the business that Zevulun would do, and in trade and traveling and so on, and providing livelihood, food, and whatever else they needed for his brother, the tribe of Issachar, that was focusing on dwelling and learning Torah. As we see from the Torah, Zevulun lechof yamim mishkon, and that Moshe Rabbeinu blessed them, that Zevulun will reside on the coastline. כשבא משה רבנו לברך את השבטים, הקדים ברכת זבולון לברכת יששכר. And when Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses our teacher, came to bless the tribes, he first blessed, when it came to Zevulun and Yisachar, he first blessed Zevulun and then Yisachar. Samech Zevulun b'tzetecha v'Yisachar b'olecha. Rejoice, Zevulun, when you go out to do business, and Yisachar when you are sitting in your tents. And there are those who say, Semach Zevulun b'tzetecha mima sheYisachar be'olecha. Be happy, Zevulun, when you go out, because why? Yisachar is in your tent, meaning that the merit and the reward is inside the tent of Zevulun from whatever Yisachar is doing. במדרש, שם פרשת צדיק ט' עוד ט'. And it's also brought down in the Midrash over there, in portion number 99, letter 9. ושם אמרו עליו הכתוב אומר, and over there they said, the Torah is talking about Zevulun. Etz HaChaim hi lemachzikim ba. As it's mentioned, that Yisachar is sitting in the tent of Zevulun, meaning whatever Yisachar is learning, it's actually getting duplicated to the tent of Zevulun. Because as it's mentioned, Et Chaim Hi Lamachzikim Ba in Proverbs, in Mishlei Perek Gimel Pasuk Yudchet, in Proverbs chapter 3, verse 18, where it says, the tree of life is for those who subsidize it, who hold it, and keep it alive. ובגמרא פסחים דף נון ג' עמוד ב' אמר רבי יוחנן. And in the Talmud, in the Tractate of Pesachim, page 53, page 53, side B, Rabbi Yochanan said, Kol hamatil מלאי לכיס תלמיד חכם, תלמידי חכמים, זוכה ויושב בישיבה של מעלה. Rabbi Yochanan said, anyone who fills up the pockets of the sages, the wise people, the teachers, gets merit and sits in the study hall of above, of heaven. Shene'emar, learning Torah in heaven, meaning. Shene'emar, as it says in Kohelet Perek Zayin Pasuk Yudbet, as it says in Ecclesiastics, chapter 7, verse 12, Ki betzel ha-chokhmah betzel ha-kasef. In the shadow of wisdom is actually in the shadow of the money. Ube'er Rashi, and Rashi clarified over there, Be'pirusho l'Gemara, Sham, betzel ha-chokhmah, in his commentary on the Talmud over there, where it says, in the shadow of wisdom, B'mchitzat ha-chokhmah yechnes, ze Shenehenu minechasav. When it says in the shade of, or in the shadow of wisdom, this one will enter, meaning is because they enjoyed and benefited from another one's belongings or money. Adkan, until here is his language. פרק זין הלכה ד' דף פ' זין הלכה ד'. In the Talmud of Yerushalmi, in the Tractate of Sotah, page or Perek Zayin, chapter 7, law 4, Amar Rabbi Chana Rabbi Yirmiyah B'Shem Rabbi Chia, Rabbi China Rabbi Yirmiyah said in the name of Rabbi Chia, Atid HaKadosh Baruch Hu la'asot tzel le'ba'alei mitzvot. In the future, HaShem, the Holy One, blessed be He, our Creator and Sustainer, will make a shade for those who are having many mitzvot, that have done the will of God. B'tzilah shel ba'alei Torah, in the shade of those that have learned a lot of Torah. What is the reason? Ki betzel ha-chokhmah betzel ha-kesef. That because the shade, as we mentioned, the shade in the shadow of the wisdom is the shadow of the money. We'll clarify further. She'oto machzik, shegaram la-chacham, she'yitaleh b'chokhmato, that same person that was the reason that the wise man was able to rise in his wisdom, because he didn't have to think about worldly things, money, clothes, house, food. He didn't have to think of that. He had the environment where everything else was taken care of for him, so he could just sit and learn Torah. In heaven, where when that wise man will go into heaven, the person that subsidized him will sit in his shade. with him in the study hall of heaven. כמו שכתב המהרש"א בחלק א' שם. As the Maharsha, a great sage, wrote in part 1 over there. וכן מצינו מעלת המחזיק בלומדי תורה במסכת כתובות, and in the same way we found the virtue of those who subsidize and hold those who study Torah in the Talmud, in the tractate of Ketuvot, Taf Kuf Yud Aleph Amud Bet, page 111, side B, that by doing so, also, that same person that subsidized a Torah sage will also have the merit and receive the merit to rise in the resurrection of the dead, when after Mashiach comes. Kidei Tashan, as it's mentioned there, as it's brought over there, Amar Rabbi Elazar, עמי ארצות אינם חיים בתחיית המתים, שנאמר בישעיהו פרק כ"ו פסוק י"ד, מתים בל יחיו וגומר. Rabbi Elazar said, the layman people of the land don't get to resurrect in the resurrection of the dead, as it says in Isaiah chapter 26, verse 14. Those who are already dead will not resurrect. תניא נמי אחי, מתים בל יחיו, יכול לכל. תלמוד אמר לפעמים בל יקום. As it's mentioned in the Mishnah, that the dead will not live. It could be for anyone. So how do we learn it? Our sages learn it that those רפאים בל יקומו, במרפא עצמו מדברי תורה כתוב מדבר. That those who are רפאים can be translated as ghosts, but it's meaning the verse says ghosts will not rise, but the word ghost means רפאים, those who were במרפא עצמו מדברי תורה הכתוב מדבר. The root of the word רפאים comes from marpeh, same letters, mem, resh, and pei, or resh, pei, and hey, excuse me, milashon rafa, where they let loose from themselves words of Torah and learning Torah, meaning they didn't hold on to learning Torah seriously. That's what the Torah is talking about. Amar le Rav Yochanan la nichel amayav da'amart lehu hachi ha'u marpeh atzmo la'avodat kochavim ha'u dechtiv. Rabbi Yochanan said, it doesn't sit well with me what you have said. That in fact the Torah is talking about a person who is allowing himself to do idol worship. That's what the Torah is talking about. Amar le, מקרא אחד אחר אני דורש. תכתיב בישעיהו פרק כ"ו פסוק י"ט. Rabbi Elazar said, I'm talking about a different verse in the Torah, where it says in Isaiah chapter 26, verse 19, כי טל אורות תליך וארץ רפאים תפיל, because the dew of lights is your dew, and the land of ghosts you will make dark. כל המשתמש באור תורה, אור תורה מחייהו, which means that every person, any person who uses the light of the Torah, then that light of Torah, meaning that he listens and studies and learns and teaches, that's what mechayehu, that's what makes him alive in the afterlife. That's the source of his resurrection. And any person who doesn't use the light of the Torah, אין תורה מחייהו. The Torah does not resurrect him. כיוון דחזיה דכמצטער, because Rabbi Elazar saw Rabbi Yochanan getting sad from what he said, Amar le Rabbi, he told him, my rabbi, מצאתי להן תקנה מן התורה. I actually found for the layman people of the land a solution from the Torah, as it's mentioned in בדברים פרק ד' פסוק ד', as it's mentioned in Deuteronomy chapter 4 verse 4, ואתם הדבקים בהשם אלוהיכם חיים כולכם היום. And you, the ones that are clinging and sticking to HaShem, your God, you are all alive today. Meaning today, meaning in the afterlife, for eternity. And the question arises, can you really stick to the divine presence, to God, like glue? Ve'aktiv. And it's mentioned in the Torah also, later on, in Bidvarim Perek Dalet Pasuk Chaf Dalet, in Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 24, Ki Hashem Elohecha esh ochila. That Hashem, your God, it consumes like fire. Ela, rather, how does one stick to the Shekhinah? Kol hamasi bito letamid chacham. Any person who marries off his daughter to a wise sage, ועושה פרקמטיה לתלמידי חכמים, and makes and gives like a stage, if you can say, to the wise people, or gives them like a place where they can learn. And benefits the wise sages from his own belongings, property, money, in other words. The Torah itself testifies upon this kind of a person that does this as if he is sticking to the glory of God, the divine presence. In the same way, you can say, בדברים, פרק ל' פסוק כ', in Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 20, לאהבה את השם אלוקיך ולדבקה בו, where it says the commandment to love God, to love Hashem, the creator and sustainer, your God, and to stick to him, like glue. וכי אפשר לאדם לדבק בשכנה, and is it possible for a man, and the question again arises, and is it possible for a person to stick to, for a human being to stick to the holy glory and divine presence of God? Ela, rather, as we mentioned before, כל המסיב ביתו לתלמיד חכם ועושה פרקמטיה לתלמידי חכמים והמענה תלמידי חכמים מנכסיו, מעלה עליו הכתוב כאילו מדבק בשכינה. Any person who marries off his daughter to a wise person of the Torah, a student of the Torah, a wise sage, or does enables for an event or a place for the wise sages to convene and to teach Torah and to learn Torah, or anyone that enables and subsidizes Torah sages from his wealth, money, charity, property in any way. The Torah testifies upon him that he is as if he himself is sticking to the glory of God and the divine presence like glue. And in that way, a person can also fulfill that commandment, even if his level is not at one where he can study Torah and so on, in that level where he's studying every day, and that's what he's doing for throughout the days of his life. Behold, that the one who supports the wise sages and the students of Torah merits to receive also from that presence of the divine presence and the glory of God that the wise sages receive themselves directly from God, because they are dealing with the Torah all the time. The more the one that deals with Torah, then the more the HaShem sticks to him. So then when you support a wise sage, you also receive from what he gets from HaShem. Okay, Be'ezrat Hashem. This was for Parashat Vezot Haberacha, and may we take note of what we learned, that the ones who support those who make it a point in their lifetime to study Torah all day should be supported by those who don't, and in that way they can make a partnership of Zvulun and Yisachar, where they also merit from that Torah that those who study all day and get supported by them receive. Okay, that was Vezot Haberacha, and thank you. We'll move on to the next Torah portion, which is restarting the book of BeReshit. Okay, so BeReshit is Genesis, which means the beginning. So chapter 1, verse 1, Perek Aleph, Pasuk Aleph, until Perek Vav, Pasuk Chet. Chapter 1, verse 1, until chapter 6, verse 8. HaShem, God, creates the world in 6 days. On the first day, he makes darkness and light. On the second day, he forms the heavens, dividing the upper waters from the lower waters. On the third day, he sets boundaries of land and sea and calls forth trees and greenery from the earth. On the fourth day, he fixes the position of the sun, moon, and stars as timekeepers and illuminators of the earth. Fish, birds, and reptiles are created on the fifth day, land animals, and then the human being on the sixth day. God ceases work on the seventh day and sanctifies it as a day of rest. God forms the human body from the dust of the earth and blows into his nostrils a living soul. Originally, man is a single person, but deciding that it is not good that man be alone, God takes a side from man, forms it into a woman, and marries them to each other. Adam and Eve, Adam and Chava, are placed in Gan Eden, the Garden of Eden, and commanded not to eat from the tree of knowledge, good and evil. The serpent persuades Eve to violate the command, and she shares the forbidden fruit with her husband. Because of their sin, it is decreed that man will experience death, returning to the soil from which he was formed, and that all gain will come only through struggle and hardship. Man is banished from the Garden of Eden. Eve then gives birth to two sons, Cain and Hevel, Cain and Abel. Cain quarrels with Abel and murders him, and becomes a ruthless wanderer. A third son, Shet, or Seth in English, is born to Adam, Seth's eighth generation descendant. Noah is the only righteous man in a corrupt world. That's how the Torah portion ends. Again, for anyone who would like the full or a more comprehensive review on the Torah portion, we'll add it to the link below after we upload it online, and you can check out the entire class from last year. Okay, we'll now move on to the book of Nofet Tzufim. Something small on this Torah portion as well. It ties into what we mentioned earlier a little bit with Torah. BeReshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. This is portion number 1. And it's talking about the chapter 1, verse 1 in BeReshit, in Genesis. The title is Kol Bria Kula B'Shvil Yisrael B'Shvil HaTorah. The entire creation is created for the nation of Israel and for the Torah. As you can see, in one of the links in the description below, the first video that is shared in the general information is actually Torah and Science. It's very recommended that whoever hasn't seen it should see it, and for those should actually review it once a year. It's an important reminder. It's quite lengthy, but the information in it is substantial to understand anything we talk about in these classes. התורה פותחת במילה בראשית. The Torah opens in the word bereshit, in the beginning. והרבה סודות, ביורים ורמזים נאמרו על המילה בראשית, and many secrets, clarifications, hints were said about the word bereshit, in the beginning. ואחד מהם, and one of them, מה שהביא רש"י בבראשית פרק א' פסוק א', דרשת רבותינו זכרונם לברכה. And one of them is what Rashi, our sage of blessed memory, has commented on that verse of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1, that our sages of blessed memory have talked about and said, שלא נברא העולם אלא בשביל התורה שנקראת ראשית דרכו. That the world hasn't been created, rather, only it has been created just for the Torah, otherwise known in the wide world, the Bible, the 5 books of Moses, and or the 24 books of the Torah, which is including the prophets until Malachi, or in English, Malachi. How do we know? As it says in Mishlei, Perek Chet Pasuk Chavbet, in Proverbs, chapter 8, verse 22, Reshit Darko, the beginning of his way. ובשביל ישראל שנקראו ראשית תבואתו, which is for what's mentioned in Yirmiyah, Perek Bet, Pasuk Gimel, Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 3, the first of God's yield of the field. It's an example. שתכלית הבריאה היא בשביל ישראל, that the purpose of creation is for the nation of Israel. שאלמלא הם לא היה נברא העולם. That if it were not for the nation of Israel, the world would not have been created. ורמז לזה, מה שאמר שם, פרק ב' פסוק ד', אלה תולדות השמיים והארץ בהיבראם. And another hint for this is what it's meant. It says there, chapter 2, verse 4, in Genesis, that אלה תולדות השמיים והארץ בהיבראם. These are the generations of the heavens and earth at the time of creation, when they were created. ודרשו במדרש רבה, and the Midrash Rabbah on the book of BeReshit, Genesis, פרק י"ב סימן ט', chapter 12, verse 9, or sign number 9, בהיבראם, when the verse over there says at the end, בהיבראם, when they were created, it's bet, hey, bet, resh, aleph, mem. בהיפוך אותיות, when you scramble those letters, it's be'avraham, meaning Abraham. It spells out the same, a different word with the same letters, which means with Abraham. שלא נברא העולם אלא בשבילו, that the world was not created only for him. שהוא אבי האומה, because he is the father of the nation, the forefather of the nation. ועם ישראל הינם יוצאי חלציו, and the nation of Israel are his descendants. Just why it doesn't say it here, but I just want to emphasize why for Abraham? Why for Abraham? Because Avraham, I'll say it in Hebrew. Avraham was, we had Adam and Noah. The difference between Adam, Noah, and Cain, and a few more, but the difference between them and Abraham was that when the communication of God with those previous to Abraham was a communication from God to them. They did not go to seek God. God, as we see in the Torah, God came to them first and communicated with them directly. And Abraham, if I'm not mistaken, was either 75 or 80 years old, only until 75 or 80 years old, from when he was a child, 3 or 4 years old, he was seeking God. He was seeking the Creator. He knew, and he looked at the creation, and he knew that there's a Creator to the world. And that's what he preached his whole life, without divine revelation, without God speaking with him for his whole life until 75 or 80 years old. So he was adamant and confident that there is a Creator to the world, while everyone else around him were worshiping idols, worshiping the constellations, worshiping stone, dust, and trees and wood. He was the only one saying, you guys are wasting your time. There's a Creator to the world, and it's not someone you can see, feel, touch, and so on. And he's making the whole world exist every day. And that's the reason God kept the creation in the world going. Because as we learn in the Kabbalah, that God created and destroyed the worlds. And when he came to this creation that he created, he kept it. Why? Why did he keep it? Because he saw that one day there will be this person called Avraham, and he will be able to teach and 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 um, and pass on the teachings of the Creator and Sustainer onto his descendants, his lineage, and he followed the way of his God, the way of the Torah and God his whole life, as it says way before we received the Torah in Mount Sinai. It says it in Genesis still in the beginning. Why did I love Abraham, my servant? Because he followed my decrees, my laws, and my ordinances, and that he will pass them on to his descendants. And because of that, God kept this world going. That's the main reason. And he saw that through that, the entire world will be able to get rectified, which is a bit deeper, but maybe we'll get to that another time. וקיום הבריאה תלוי בתורה הקדושה. And the existence of creation is dependent on the Holy Torah. כמו שאמרו בגמרא בשבת דף פ"ח עמוד א', as it says in the Talmud Bavli, in the tractate of Shabbat, page 88, side A, אמר ריש לקיש, מהי דכתיב שם א' פרק ל"א, ויהי ערב ויהי בוקר יום השישי. What does it, Rabbi Reish Lakish said, what does it mean that it says when it says in the Torah in Genesis chapter 1 verse 31, Vayi erev vayi boker yom hashishi, and it was evening, and behold, it was evening, and it was morning. It was the sixth day. Hey, Yitera lamali. Why did it say it was the sixth day? It should have said it was day 6, but it added a hey. And a hey in the beginning of the word, in any word in Hebrew, adds the word the. Why do I need this? This is it seems a bit extra, and since there's nothing extra in the Torah, God is teaching us something. There's not even one letter that's extra in the Torah. מלמד שהתנה הקדוש ברוך הוא עם מעשה בראשית ואמר להם. It's teaching us that HaShem, the creator and sustainer, the Holy One, blessed be He, has made a condition with creation of Genesis and told the creation and said, אם ישראל מקבלים את התורה, אתם מתקיימים. If the nation of Israel accepts the Torah in due time on Mount Sinai, then you will continue to exist. He's talking about the days of creation. Ve'im lav, and if they decide not to accept the Torah, ani machzir etchem letov avo, I am returning you to the state of chaos, as we learned that the world was in from before Genesis. Why chaos? Because our sages explain that because God created and destroyed worlds, those destroyed worlds were all in chaos. And when God created this world, He created the order again in the 6 days and separated everything from everything and made each, the skies and the earth and the sea in its place and the galaxies, moon and sun and so on. ובגמרא במסכת נדרים דף ל"ב עמוד א', and in the Talmud Bavli, in the tractate of Nedarim, page 32, side A, אמרו גדולה התורה שאלמלא תורה לא נתקיימו שמיים וארץ. The Torah is so great, our sages said, that if it wasn't for the Torah, heaven and earth would not exist. Shene'emar, Birmiyahu, Perek Lamed Gimel Pasuk Kafei, as it says in the prophets in Jeremiah chapter 33 verse 25, Im lo biriti yomam valayla chukot shamayim va'aretz lo samti, etc. If my covenant, which is the Torah, isn't kept day and night, the laws of nature of heaven and earth I will not continue to put, meaning they will not exist anymore, etc. That if the world, there will not be continuous learning of Torah day and night, as it's mentioned and written in Hosea, or sorry, not Hosea, in Joshua chapter 1 verse 8, and you should learn it and deal with the Torah day and night. There is no point for the world to exist. Zevachim, Daf Kuf Tet Zayin Amud Aleph, and in the Talmud Bavli, in the tractate of Zevachim, page 116, side A, Amru, Shebesha'a Shenitna Torah. Our sages of blessed memory said that in the time that the Torah was given, Kol Malchei Ovdei Kochavim Achazatan Ra'ada Beheichalehen, all the kings of the nations of the world that were idol worshippers, were shaking to the core, were they in their place of worship. And all of them gathered to go to the wicked Bil'am. ואמרו לו, מה כל ההמון אשר שמענו וכו'. In the Midrash it says that when the Torah was given on Mount Sinai, the entire world stood still and no one made a noise. Only the noise that was sounding in the world was the call of the shofar. Everyone was everyone was involved. Everyone knew about it. And and they asked Bil'am, what is that loud voice sound that we heard? I didn't understand what the sound of the shofar was, because it was usually when you blow a shofar, a human being, when he blows a shofar, a trumpet, he blows it, and until his air is finished, the sound goes and slowly diminishes. It doesn't get stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And which the opposite happened at the time of the giving of the Torah. It says specifically in the Torah that the sound of the shofar was getting stronger and stronger and stronger, which is the opposite, because it was a divine sound that came from heaven without a human limitation. So what did Bilam tell them? אמר להם, חמדה טובה יש לו בבית גנזיו שהייתה גנוזה אצלו תת-קעד דורות קודם שנברא העולם. הוא ביקש ליתנה לבניו. Bilam told them, the Creator has a very special gift that he cherishes in the treasuries of heaven by him for generations, 974 generations before the world was created. And he now is interested to give it to his sons, the Israelites. As it says in Psalms chapter 29, verse 11, HaShem oz le'amo yiten. Miyad patchu kulam ve'amru, HaShem yivarech et amo b'shalom. Where it says there that God has given might to his nation. Is giving might to his nation, and all of the nation answered and said, HaShem, God, will bless his nation with peace. הרי שגם אומות העולם הבינו וידעו כי בנתינת התורה אשר היא נקראת עוז, אזי השם יברך את עמו בשלום. That behold, also the nations of the world understood and knew that with the giving of the Torah to the nation of Israel, which is, the Torah is called Oz, might, that by doing so, God will bless his nation with peace. שכל שלומן וטובתן של ישראל תלוי אך ורק בתורה הקדושה. That all of the well-being and peace of the nation of Israel is dependent only on the Holy Torah and keeping and following the way of the Holy Torah, as we've learned in the past. רבנו בחיי כתב בספר חובת הלבבות, שער הבחינה, פרק ד'. The holy sage, our sage Rabbi Bachaye, wrote in his book, The Duties of the Heart, in the gate of introspection, in chapter 4, כי התורה היא בחינת מלך. That the Torah is in the aspect of king. והטבע הוא בחינת עבד, and nature is in the aspect of servant. וכשם שאין העבד יכול לפעול כלל מבלי ציווייו של מלך, and in the same way that a servant cannot take action without the commandment and will of the king, כך אין הטבע יכול להתקיים מבלי התורה הקדושה. In the same way, nature cannot exist without the Holy Torah. וכתוב בזוהר הקדוש בויקרא דף י' עמוד א'. And in the Holy Zohar it says on the portion of Leviticus, page 10, side A, כי כל היישוב הוא עגול ככדור. This was written approximately 2,000 years ago. That the entire world is round as a ball, way more than before Columbus. That this was written. ויש בני אדם בחלק העליון של הכדור, ויש גם כן כנגד זה בחלק התחתון. And that there are people that live on the top part of the globe, and there are also people on the opposite side, on the bottom part of the globe. ואותם הבריות שונים זה מזה במראיהן, and the people that are all around the globe look different from each other. And this was written by a person that never left the land of Israel. Obviously, this was the Holy Zohar was written with divine assistance from Elijah the prophet, which was already the prophet that was taken up with a chariot of horses of flaming of fire, and he did not die. God sends him to different missions even till nowadays, and he will be the one. Elijah the prophet will be the one that will blow the shofar and let the whole world know that Messiah is coming, and we must prepare, as it says in the prophets. So that same Elijah the prophet was the one teaching Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and his son Elazar in the cave when they were in the cave for 12, 13 years. So that's how they knew this information, and the Jewish nation had this information a long time ago. The people look different. Everyone looks different from each other. Because the difference in air and atmosphere and atmospheric pressure, different translations. The simple translation is this: the different air that's in every single place on earth. That's what causes the people to look different. בהיותם העולם הינו עשוי ככדור, לכן יש מקומות שכאשר אצלם אור, לאחרים יש חושך. And because the world is in the shape of a ball, that's why there are places that when they have light, others have darkness. ויש מקום אשר כמעט תמיד יום. And there are places on earth that it's almost all the time daylight. חוץ משעה קטנה אשר יש בו חושך. Except for a small amount, a small hour, a little bit of time that has a little bit of darkness. This is found in the Zohar. In the Holy Zohar about Leviticus page 10, side A. ומכאן תשובה לחכמי המדע מדורות קודמים אשר חיפשו ונראו לדעת איך מורכב העולם. And from here is the answer to the scholars of science from earlier generations that looked and searched to know how the world is designed. האם הוא עגול או מרובע, if it's square or round, flat or round, meaning. ולא ידעו כי כבר הכל כתוב בתורתנו הקדושה, exactly what we mentioned. And they didn't know that everything is already written in our Holy Torah, which is the Zohar, as well. The Zohar is considered the oral Torah as well. והם רק אחר שנים רבות הגיעו למסקנה זו כי העולם עגול. And only many years later, they have reached the conclusion that the world is round. ואחת מן הסיבות אשר נברא העולם באופן כזה שכאן יום ושם לילה וכן ההפך. And one of the reasons that the world was created in such a way where it's round and that when it's light and daytime over here and darkness in a different place and night in a different place and vice versa, ומפני שאין יכול העולם מתקיים רגע אחד בלא תורה, is because the world cannot exist one moment without Torah learning. לכן בשעה שאצלנו לילה במקום אחר יום. That's why by us, when it's nighttime in a different place, it's day. ושם יושבים ועוסקים בתורה. While people are sleeping here, people are awake in a different place on earth, and they are learning Torah over there. The Jews are learning in that part of the world where it's daytime are learning Torah. והעולם מתקיים על ידם, and the world is existing by them doing so. Okay, it's quite long. So we'll conclude with the final words of our Rabbi Mishulam Makohen Shlita. He lived long and good life. Be'ezrat Hashem, where he says, Achim Yikarim, dear brothers, ראינו מעט מזער מדברי רבותינו הקדושים על מעלת התורה הקדושה. We only saw very little from the words of our holy sages, blessed be their names and memory. Al ma'alat Torah kedusha, on the virtue of the and the loftiness of the Holy Torah, Val ma'alat Israel kedushim, and the virtue of the nation of the holy nation of Israel. Asher kasher hem ve'aTorah nimtzaim b'chafifa achat, that when the nation of Israel and the Holy Torah are together on the same path, HaKadosh Baruch Hu magen aleim u'mashpia aleim tova u'bracha. And HaShem, our Creator and Sustainer, the Holy One, blessed be He, protects them and provides them many blessings and good abundance. ואז יתקיים בנו דברי רבותינו, כמו שכתוב בזוהר אחרי מות תע"ג עמוד א', and then when we do so, the words of our sages, as they mentioned about in the Zohar, in the Holy Zohar of Parashat Achrei Mot, page 73, side A, Kucha Barichu, Oraita, V'Yisrael, Chadhu. The Holy One, blessed be He, the Holy Torah, and the nation of Israel is one unit. Lachen, therefore, Achai v'Ra'ai, my brothers and sisters and friends, Ishtadel kol echad ve'echad meitanu likvoa itim midei yom v'yomo. Every person, each and every one of us, should make great efforts to set a set time every single day, lilmod Torah v'ishtatef b'shiurei Torah, to learn Torah and to participate in classes of Torah and to listen to words of Torah. ואין ספק כי הבא ליטהר מסייעים בידו. And there is no doubt that the one that is coming to get pure gets assistance from heaven to get purified. בעזרת השם ובשם השם נעשה ונצליח. With the help of Hashem and in the name of Hashem we shall do and we shall succeed. I want to start since we share the weekly class before, usually either on Thursday or on Friday, usually before Shabbat, I'd like to begin a small custom where we can sing a song that is usually recited on Shabbat, on the Shabbat table, or after prayer. Each time a different song, and just to get us in the atmosphere of Shabbat, and we can also learn these songs for ourselves. Be'ezrat Hashem. I hope you enjoy it. The first song that we'll sing is one of my favorite songs. It's called Yedid Nefesh. Let's see if we can share the screen, and then you'll be able to see the words and translation as well. Yedid Nefesh Haberacha משוך עבדך אל רצונך ירוץ עבדך כמו איה ישתחווה מול הדרך ירב לו ידידותיך מנופת צוף ונופת Adonai זיו העולם נפשי חולת אהבתך אנא אל נא רפנה לה בהראות לה נועם זיווך אז תתחזק ותתרפא והייתה לה שמחת עולם ותיק יהמונה רחמך וחוסנה על בן אהובך כי זה כמה נחשפתי לראות בתפארת עוזך אליך חמדה ליבי חוסנה ואל תתעלם היגלנה ופרוס חביבי עלי את סוכת שלומך תאיר ארץ מכבודך נגילה ונשמחה בך מהר אהוב כי במועד וחוננו כימי עולם ידידי Thank you, Bezrat Hashem. Hope that you enjoyed, and we'll, Bezrat Hashem, God willing, meet next week. And wishing everyone a peaceful and restful weekend, and Shabbat Shalom. Take care.